Yo, welcome to another episode of Trip Off This, a podcast where we talk about wild things for you to trip off. That's music, politics, games, tech, and a very special topic this week specifically. But first, as always, my partner in crime, the person you're about to see, the voice you're about to hear, your man Crush Monday every single Monday, even on leap years, Josiah.
Yo.
And this week, I gotta ask Josiah a question. Josiah, have you ever been stung by a bee?
I actually haven't.
You've never been stung
never been
by
stung
a bee?
by a bee, yeah.
Can you start, actually, I hadn't even thought about this before we started recording. This is gonna be a very bee-centric episode.
We're talking about bees this week.
We're talking about bees and why they're important to humanity. But I was thinking about the time, remember like 2.5 years ago, you sent me a Snapchat of like your bedroom window, and you were like, dude, I got a bee problem.
Oh,
and
yeah,
was just like
those are yellow jackets.
75 yellow jackets inside this man's room.
Yeah.
It was the scariest Snapchat I've ever seen in my life. How did you not get stung once during that?
That wasn't my room, that was my roommate's room.
That's how
I didn't have to deal with it very much. but I don't think he got stung either. I think that yellow jackets weren't particularly aggressive. They weren't super bad. But yeah, I don't. Have you ever been stung by a bee?
I think I've been stung by a bee.
I think you know. I feel like
the only reason I'm not 100% sure is because it happened when I was like young.
Oh yeah.
Like 7 or 8.
So you just have like this
memory. It's a hazy memory. Like could have been a horsefly, if not a bee. Like I really don't know. I think it was a bee.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's crazy that like I wonder. This is something I didn't look up while doing research, but now that like I'm talking about it, I wish I did. I wonder what percentage of the population is allergic to bees.
That's a great thing. I didn't look that up either.
We should look that up because like I wonder. I can't imagine.
I know people who are allergic to bees, so it has to be.
Imagine in your life personally that bees were essentially just as dangerous as like a fucking rattlesnake to somebody else. How on eggshells you would have to walk?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm so glad that's not me. I'm sorry, and I apologize if that sounds callous to anybody who is allergic to bees. But wow, you are like a real American hero for dealing with this on a day-to-day basis. Because I feel like if I was in Arizona hiking through the desert, I'd be like on my tiptoes, constantly analyzing the ground. Even if it is an irrational fear that I'm going to get bit by a rattlesnake, I still feel like I should be wary of that.
You'd be afraid of a rattlesnake in Arizona?
Yeah, in any desert setting, I'd be worried about stepping on a snake or getting bit by putting my
is good to be cautious about.
Putting my shoe on and having a scorpion in it or something.
Yeah.
These could be irrational fears, but if that was multiplied by being allergic to bees along with it, oh my goodness, I don't think I could deal with it. Like I'm sorry, like the horror.
That is, how like it's just like kind of an inconvenience for anyone else, but if you're allergic to bees, it's like
life or death.
Yeah, for real.
One flies into my car window, we're smashing into a telephone pole.
I know, man. Well, I mean, you got to stay calm because freaking out will just make them more likely to sting you, probably.
But oh my God, man, just and the fact that like if you do get bit and you're allergic, like doesn't like your throat swell up, like it's not it would be terrifying final minutes.
You go into
race to the
hospital.
To the hospital, yeah.
Oof,
man. Shout out to everyone that's allergic to bees out there. Brave. You brave for just living your life.
And so in my research, I discovered that bees can actually retain human faces for like up to 4 days is what the researchers found. Who knows how long it like goes in the research? They found up to 4 days. It's crazy that a bee can see you and then like remember you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that really struck me some way.
I feel like...
And that they have better smell than dogs by like 50 times, I'm pretty sure.
Would you ever...
And they use them to find landmines in Croatia. They're training bees to find landmines.
And like swarm around them or some shit?
Well, right now they're training individual bees to do it, and then they're going to train entire hives to find landmines and then like feed them somehow.
How many
That's the hard part.
landmines are in Croatia to make this
A lot.
reasonable thing to
Bro,
to
a couple
pursue?
hundred landmines is a pretty big deal. A couple thousand landmines
That's a
is
huge
like,
deal.
yeah,
Like undetonated from a previous.
like war.
Yeah.
That's why you aren't allowed technically or whatever to put landmines out, because it's just there's so many landmines just blowing people's limbs off in other countries. Like it's in Croatia's like the Balkans.
Yeah, so like old shit from World War One.
No, not even the 90s.
What?
Yeah, the Balkan Wars, Russia. It's a whole thing. We're not.
Yeah, true. We're getting off topic from the bee issue.
from the bee issue.
Yeah.
So, is there any fact that stuck out to you in your research of bees?
Yeah, there were several facts that stuck out to me in the research when I was researching just random bee facts. I mean, obviously, like people always say, yeah, we need bees, save the bees, and like if you don't actually research it, you just might think that's like stupid.
Yeah.
But like when you do research it, like it is unbelievable the fact they're on every single content, and just like, I guess their social behaviors were super interesting to me.
Yeah, they
I
have some
guess.
weird societal stuff. Like one example that I wrote down. This is a really fucking weird one. So a queen bee only goes out to mate once in her entire like 4-year life. She does a bunch of dude bees, drone bees out there, and then she stores all the sperm in a special organ in her body for her entire life, and that's it. Whenever she needs to make more bees,
Wow.
she utilizes that.
Wow. So they just have like, it's a hot girl summer.
Yeah.
The queen bee has a hot girl summer,
And then
just
for the next 4 years,
stores that and fertilizes her eggs with it.
a lot of weird organs in bees that make a bunch of different stuff. Also, honey, bees don't know how to make honey. They have to be taught how to make honey by older bees.
Yeah.
They're out here building societies.
The Bee Movie was a nonfiction. It was a nonfiction work. Yeah, there was a, for sure, that's crazy because that shows some type of like
I don't know what it shows, but
consciousness
it's fucking.
for sure.
I don't know, man. It's just wild to think about how you evolve that kind of a system, and like how most species of bees just like chill by themselves.
Yeah, like exactly.
But some just decided to go hard and like live in these tens of thousand
Hives.
unit colonies.
Yeah, and like, yeah, and just the hive mind. Like they're like, it's crazy to think that an animal that small like understands like self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like they understand that like the worker bee should die for the queen in order for the hive to survive. Like that. Or
Yeah,
maybe
but
they
they'll
don't
also
understand that.
also kill the queen. Like if the queen's not doing right,
Yeah,
they'll
true.
kill the queen. Like the hive does what the hive needs to do.
Yeah, it's wild.
In the winter or the fall, when the food starts getting short, they just like stop feeding all the dude drone bees and then just like start pushing them out.
Yeah,
And then they just die out there because they don't work. They don't do anything.
right during the winter.
They just buzz around.
Life as a bee would not be chill either. Like, it
No.
would, it would
It
not,
would not be chill.
a chill existence. It definitely wouldn't. Also, I was reading about how specifically a bee dies when it stings, and like what does that happen all the time? Is that real or whatever?
Yeah, I was reading. One source said that it only happens. It happens in particular to humans. Something about human skin
Yes.
really catches them, and they
Yes.
when they sting most animals, they don't get their guts ripped out of their
Yes,
body. It's just humans.
Exactly. You think that's an evolutionary trait?
No,
Nah, 'cause we weren't getting
it has
bit
to be
by
an
bees
accident.
enough.
Yeah, it has
We weren't
to be.
getting
We
bit.
don't have fur. We have a different kind of skin, I guess, that just gets those barbs stuck.
Yeah, it gets their barbs in their tail because they can, because typically, like you said, almost any other animal or insect they can sting like as many times as they want and it doesn't.
Random.
Like part of their digestion system gets ripped out when they leave a stinger in a human. It literally rips their abdomen apart when that happens.
and they aren't expecting that. They just think it's gonna be a normal fight. But
Yeah, yeah,
Nah, dog.
Humans a little bit different, bro. You're not done evolving. You haven't evolved to
To handle us.
to handle me yet, bro.
Yellow jackets, though, they're there.
Yeah, I'm still scared. I'll run like a yellow.
A thing I learned about yellow jackets, like one of the reasons that people think that yellow jackets are like a lot worse than bees is because in the late summer, early fall, when like they've completed their life task. First of all, yellow jackets suck. They don't pollinate shit. They just like they'll eat trash. They don't care about flowers. So yellow jackets suck. Secondly, once they've completed all their life goals or whatever as a bee in their 6-week life cycle, they just leave the hive and all they care about is like satiating their sweet tooth and like just eating whatever they want. So that's why they'll like attack your picnic. They'll do whatever to get in your house. Like they don't care anymore. Like they completed their life goal and now they're just
like now they're checking off bucket list shit at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's crazy too is like let's just shout out bees for being beacons of eradicating toxic masculinity. Like the toughest, strongest dude, everyone turns not cool, not strong, not masculine when there's bees around.
For real.
Like the most masculine dude.
Yeah, I don't care who you are.
I don't care who you are, bro.
You can't like start fighting the bees.
You can't macho your way out of a bee attack, bro. Like it's so funny, and there's no way to look cool or tough running from a bug. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Even if
spiders
we know,
have a similar response.
Yes, even if we know it's like a poisonous hornet, if you're running from it, there's no way to look cool. There's no way to still look tough, right? And like, like, even like the most manliest men that I know, that when there's like a hornet's nest like being built on their corner of their house or something, like the tactic of just like spraying something and running is just hilarious. You can never look tough just spraying something with foam and then like running inside and closing the door and like.
It sucks because I feel like with most animals, like I don't want to kill things with poison usually. Like if I'm gonna kill a spider, I want to be like pop and kill it right away.
Really?
Yeah, no, I just feel like I don't know, watching them like writhe because I just sprayed it with fucking
acid essentially.
Yeah, but bees, it's like they don't get that. They don't get the Geneva Convention.
Exactly. The Human Rights Council doesn't pay attention to bees.
No, maybe they should. One thing that I found that I thought was fascinating.
Okay.
It's actually a bird related to bees.
Okay.
So it's called the greater honey guide bird, and it is a bird with an innate ability. They described it, the researchers described it as an innate ability to help humans find wild beehives to like get the honey from them. So this bird is crazy because not only is it a bird that does this weird thing, they think it's an innate ability because this is a parasitic bird, meaning that the parents go to other nests and like push the bird eggs out and then lay their eggs. So it's one of those birds that gets raised by other species of birds.
Okay.
And then what it does, in different areas, it's different things. So in Zambia, the sound of like somebody chopping wood will attract these birds. These birds will show up, they'll be like, hey, it's those birds. And then the birds will lead the people to beehives, and then the birds are able, because of special bacteria they have, to digest the beeswax while the people get all the honey.
Okay.
And so it's like, in Tanzania, a human whistling will attract them.
Wow.
So it's like this bird who is born in a nest, not raised by its own parents, then has this incredibly specific, evolved behavior to lead humans in particular to bees, because we're the only people who are going to leave stuff behind for them, and like
and it also it benefits them. It's like
it's
such a weird version of like the fish that like hangs out by the great white's gills.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
like,
exactly.
It, like
it's a lot like that. Mutual relationship.
Yeah, exactly. Mutual. There's like
mutually beneficial.
Yeah, but there's like a specific scientific term for
something mutual.
Symbiotic relationship?
Yes, symbiotic is a kind of, like there can be mutually symbiotic relationships or something like that. And like parasitic relationships, like the bird to the other birds when it kicks their birds out of the nest.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was, because bees have existed for 30 million years.
Bro, they're on every continent except Antarctica.
Yeah.
Except like the Arctic, which
soon enough they'll be there too once it's
hot enough.
Once it's hot enough.
Once it's warm enough.
So
that's so sad.
two things I wanted to really get into. Let me see if I have any other random bee facts worth mentioning before we get into the more major topics.
I'm trying to think. I feel like
better sense of smell than a dog, said that.
Them remembering your human face is hilarious because that means they definitely roast you.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, this human
it's just
nose
like the bee
is
movie.
big as hell, boy. If you don't get your big nose ass.
In the winter, random bees have the jobs of being heater bees, where they will vibrate their bodies to keep the nest at 95 degrees. Hives can produce emergency queens, so if the queen dies, they can there's this substance called royal jelly. It's one of the many substances.
Doesn't it like come out of one of their heads?
It's like above their eye, and it's like a gland that they have, and it produces queen juice.
To like
you feed it to the queens.
Like beef up a queen and like get her super strong.
And that's all the queen eats her whole life is this head juice from the drones that makes queens happen.
Just think about that for a second. Here's another thing. I don't think I've ever seen a queen bee.
No, you probably haven't. I mean, like they do flights once a year to get all that semen.
How big is a queen bee, your average queen bee?
They're
like the size of a hummingbird?
No, they can be pretty thick.
That's hilarious that like if the idea that they drink that
I don't think it was as big as it just.
the fact that we know that they drink jelly and consume a jelly that comes from the worker bees.
And if they start feeding it to a larva, it will become a queen later on in life.
Like how potent is that skull juice?
Yeah, what is it
other
doing?
bees. Imagine the human equivalent of that.
It's really a trip off this kind of thing.
Imagine a human equivalent of that. If we could all just get together.
And like when the king dies, we're just like, all right, give him the head juice.
We just uncap our skull, and there's just like a baby blue jelly in there, and somebody eats it, and it just becomes a hulking, shredding, 8-foot tall behemoth.
And then they just start pumping out clones.
And everyone else bows down to this jacked human who's been consuming this skull jelly for mad long, bro. That is like, that's alien. And just another heads up, the next time we do an animal episode focused, it's definitely going to be octopuses. Octopi.
Yeah.
Octopi.
Probably.
Because if you start taking an octopus's skills and adapting that to like a human, man, we're talking
camouflage, being able to change your size and shape.
Just being able to fit through like a baseball-sized hole in a door or something, yo. Like I seen a video of an octopus literally like fitting inside of a glass, and then you take it out of the glass, and it's like a 5-foot long octopus.
I think all those kind of like, what are those sea invertebrates called? Like the whole octopus family, like cuttlefish, all that stuff is pretty crazy.
Like squids.
Honey made from rhododendrons or rhododendron.
Okay.
Is poisonous, though rarely fatal.
Like, so I'm just gonna get sick?
Yeah, it'll make you sick. So be careful of that. And this is super random, but only the queen bee poops in the hive.
Everyone else got to poop outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny, dude. That's what I'm saying. Bees are hilarious, man. Somebody needs to make an animated show about bees.
So random. There was already the movie, the greatest movie ever made, the Bee Movie.
True. How can you top that? You could top that with like a Big Mouth style comedy.
The thumbnail for this has to be Tevin with Jerry Seinfeld from the Bee Movie, just on his head.
Just the Bee Movie. Isn't he like a lawyer, or doesn't he go to court?
Yeah, no, he like doesn't want to be a bee or something. It's something. He like marries a human woman in it. It's a really weird movie. It doesn't quite understand. I think he has a stinger in it, so it's right off the bat. It's very inaccurate.
Why would, this is a sidetrack, brief aside, why would somebody with the pedigree of Jerry Seinfeld make that movie?
Because it's like the greatest movie ever made. That's why.
Like,
you like jazz?
I mean, honestly, for enough money, I guess you just do anything. Like if
I feel like that movie was his idea. I have no proof for that, but we're just gonna go with it. It was written and directed by Jerry Seinfeld.
By Jerry Seinfeld. Oh my God.
So, random fact about honey.
Okay.
1 pound of honey, a colony needs to visit 2 million flowers to produce that.
I feel like there's not enough. But going by that number, I feel like honey should be infinitely more expensive than it is. I feel like there's not enough flowers.
A single honeybee will only produce 1/12 teaspoon of honey in her lifetime. So we're just taking the life work of these fucking
Like
bees.
a jar of honey is so much bee labor, yo. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Honey is the only food that contains everything that you need to live.
Every vitamin and essential stuff.
For bees, apparently, including water. They don't got to drink water. They can just eat the honey. If it's really hot, they start collecting water, though.
Wow.
1 ounce of honey would fuel a honeybee's flight around the entire world.
Wow.
Very efficient. This is like
bees,
this is like the jet fuel for bees. Can you imagine if we made something? I mean, we make like milk, I guess, but it's no honey. It's not that efficient. We just like made these little cubes.
Dude, the equivalent to that is like, right, like imagine if they made a candy bar that were like, yeah, eat half of this candy bar and you'll be able to stay awake for 3 months straight, not get tired. Man, bees
Only
are
4
like,
species have figured it out. And there are
Like-
20,000 species of bees, and only 4
four?
of them make honey.
That's another just amazing thing, dude. Like they've literally reached enlightenment out of all the other species. Which means those bees.
How did they? How do you evolve making honey?
Those
I don't know. That's a
bees
trip off
are
this.
definitely racist to the species of bees that don't make the honey.
Yeah, no, they're definitely. They
Like-
think they're way better, or like the solitary bees,
Yeah,
like the savages,
yeah, they're
just flying around by themselves
Yeah,
in their
they're-
mud houses.
Yeah, they're dirt holes. Build a nest, dummy. Like that shit is so funny, bro. Bees, man. Should we talk about maybe why they're essential for human life to continue? Like obviously,
So
it's
yeah,
pretty
like,
obvious. Like I feel.
Most of the fruits and veggies, like carrots and like potatoes, don't need bees. But most of like the cool stuff you eat, anything with a flower on it, requires a bee to pollinate it.
Right.
So then it's like there's that, and it's just like the cascade effect of the role that they play in the ecosystem. Whereas if they die off, then a lot of other things die.
Right.
Like I don't know. It's
Right.
it's easy to say like, oh, I don't like tomatoes, but like it's not about you not liking tomatoes. It's like the people who do like tomatoes can't eat tomatoes now, so now they're eating the stuff that you like. So it's like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's they're pretty important for that reason.
Yeah.
A lot of the, I guess we'll go into the ecological impact, why bees were dying, or are dying still. But it's like
Yeah.
less of a, so I read the FDA or whatever, whoever deals with that, the CDA or whatever, government administration deals with it.
Yep.
And I did not like the sound of the article. Like it just sounded like, yeah, you know, this used to be a problem. We thought it was a big deal, but then, you know, like 2015, things aren't as bad anymore.
We had a good year with the bees. The bees had a good year, so we're back.
Yeah.
That's basically what they're.
And it's bees are super finicky. Like I read one thing that there was scientific studies, not studies obviously, it was like one researcher back then, but like in the 1700s where someone noted that bees seem to die for no reason sometimes in large quantities. So there's like a lot of different things that go into it. One, there's the colony collapse disorder, which you heard about a lot if you heard about bees dying or whatever. It's essentially when all of the worker bees just decide to fuck off and like leave.
They're just
And
done
then, like
with
there's
bee
some nurse
society.
bees and the queen's left there like, and then the hive collapses because it can't sustain itself.
Yeah.
That was a big
That's
problem.
an interesting thing because that seems like a similar behavior to like whales beaching themselves.
Yeah, and it's like the
Damn,
thing.
we could talk a long time about whales beaching themselves.
Yeah, that could be a whole episode. There's like so many different things that go to it though. So like there are the pesticides that we use now. The
Yeah.
CDC or whatever article did not mention this pesticide by name, which I thought was very suspect. But it's called neonicotinoids, and there's plenty of research showing that they have very negative effects on bees. The way it's an insecticide that doesn't affect humans, but it affects bees, and it affects them by attacking a certain receptor on them that like deals with navigation and stuff like that, and insects have a lot more of these than people do, obviously. So it's like if it can affect them by like they can't find their way home and stuff like that,
Could be a problem.
and in large enough amounts, obviously, they just fucking die. They just fall dead randomly because of it. So but there's like no laws against this, and like I said, the FDA article did not even mention this. They just said like certain insecticides, but they did not mention this one by name, which all the independent research did mention by name. Just goes to show how fucking shitty our government is, probably,
Yeah.
at dealing with this stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other big issue is mites. So like mites will get in there, and what happens is like you've seen honeycombs, right?
Yep.
They like seal the larva in there. The mites will like sneak in before that happens, and they'll like get
eat
all
the
over
larva.
They'll get all over the larva, and then they won't eat it enough. So then when it comes out, the worker like eats its way out, and then all the new mites like get out and get in everything else, and
Right.
then
So-
that worker is like weakened, and it's just like not as efficient, and these mites can just destroy entire colonies. So that's another issue.
Yeah.
Another issue that we haven't really run into yet, but I imagine would be a problem, is I was reading that past temperatures of like 100 degrees, bees start acting weird. Like they start
Yeah.
behaving differently
Gets
after.
too hot.
Yeah, if it gets too hot, they stop collecting pollen and focus on water collection. And if it gets like way too hot, they just like get really confused and just like fly around. they do this thing called bearding. If it's really hot, you'll see all of the bees actually outside of the hive, so it looks like there's a big beard of bees on the hive.
Pictures of that.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of stuff fucking with the bees.
Yeah, man, that's insane. I've always wondered too, like how to balance, like if you like maintain a hive, right? Like
yeah, if you
like
have a hive,
personal hive, like what's the balance of like honey you can take out?
You only take the excess honey.
But how do you know what's excess? I don't even know.
I think it's the way that they store it somehow. But
it's like a tray or something.
Yeah, you know how much honey goes in. This is me talking about my ass, but I'm pretty sure
we know everything about beekeeping.
They know how much honey, like how many bees per like thing, and you know how there's like all those different slides.
Yeah.
They probably know how much honey is needed to sustain the amount of bees in the colony, and then they only take the extra. You can also get flavored honeys by giving them certain flowers.
Wow.
Just like Stardew Valley.
Wow. Stardew Valley, the life simulator.
So now, like honestly, when I looked into the bees dying thing, it wasn't as dire as
you once thought.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously still pretty dire.
You should still be monitoring it. Yes.
Yeah, definitely keep your eye on it. But from what the FDA was telling me, they were saying that it's not as big of an issue as it was when they were talking about it a lot in like 2010 and stuff.
Interesting.
Now, on to what I think is the most interesting topic to do with bees that I researched, and that is the Africanized killer bees.
Okay. How large are they?
They are the exact
size of
exact same as honeybees.
Same size?
Same. Actually, they're a little smaller.
Wow.
They're a little smaller.
Are we saying this is like the most dangerous bee?
I mean,
damn, we need a bee battle royale.
No, probably, yeah. No, they're probably the most dangerous bee. But there's a lot of misconceptions around them because of like Animal Planet documentaries I watched when I was in 8th grade, telling me about how the killer bees were going to come. Did you ever watch any of these kind of killer bee documentaries where they talk about Africanized honeybees?
No, I'm thinking about a bee battle royale right now. Taking like
100 bees dropped in.
Yeah, 100 bees dropped into a glass tank. And
all different species.
All different.
You might be onto something with that.
Yeah, all right, keep going.
So in the 60s, a Brazilian scientist wanted to breed a more efficient bee. That's how it always starts. So he had European bees over there. European bees, they're nice. They're pretty docile in terms of bees. Good bees. So they wanted to combine them with African bees, which are known for being good. And in Africa, they only use African bees. Like, Europeans aren't the only bees used. Africanized bees still make honey, and they can still be used commercially to produce honey. They're just a little more aggressive. So he took some of those bees because they're known for being good at like making a lot of honey and surviving on erratic diets and like droughts and stuff like that.
Tried to mate them.
Yep, did that. Some of them escaped. And then over the next few decades, the slow creep of bees, like first they started hearing about like bees killing farm animals and stuff like that. Like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then eventually the first cases of people being killed by bees, usually like elderly children, disabled people. Okay.
Horrifying.
So we're gonna do a.
I can think of like 10 animals I'd rather die too.
Than bees.
Get killed from than bees.
Then we're gonna give a little PSA on if attacked.
What to do?
Africanized honeybees. What you should do. What I discovered.
How is jump in water not a foolproof plan?
Okay, jump in water is probably. It sounds good, but it's an awful idea.
No.
It is the worst idea. At least for what I read in African bees, they will wait above the water
for
you to come.
It takes?
Yes, they have been known to follow people for up to a quarter mile.
Oh my God!
The first tip is to run as fast as you possibly can. Get into a car. Get into anything, a house, any kind of a structure. Like just run, keep running. Don't jump in the water because they'll wait for you.
How many of these bees need to sting you before you die?
Okay, so the African bees actually have less venom per sting than their European counterparts, and they actually have the exact same venom. So it's like the only difference is how aggressively they defend.
Yeah.
So it's like if European bees were to attack you this much, they would be just as dangerous.
They might not wait above the water though.
They just don't. I don't know, but I know that Africanized honeybees do that.
So don't jump in water.
Don't jump in water. Run as fast as you can. Try not to flail your arms. They
Impossible.
They don't like that. Don't flail your arms around. They'll usually so A bee can obtain speeds of 12 to 15 miles per hour.
That's fast.
But
dude.
most healthy humans can outrun them. So if you're unhealthy, you might want to not be in these areas at all.
Start working out or something, man. Test your cardio.
To get away from the bees. They've been known to follow people for more than a quarter mile. Almost all African honeybees attacks can be traced back to some kind of a provocation, like a lawnmower. Or like some kind of a loud noise that pisses them off.
It would be ill.
They don't. Another random bee fact going for all bees: they don't like dark colors, and they can also smell your dank-ass breath.
Damn.
They don't like the smell of carbon dioxide. If you breathe on a bee, it will become distressed.
Okay. Oh man, bees are
cover
hilarious.
any part of your body, especially your face. People who have survived
Like
African
this?
honeybees attacks say that one of the most difficult parts of escaping is the bees. Is the bees stinging your eyes?
Oh my God,
and
man.
face. Like you don't want to have to slow down for anything. So like if you don't have anything to cover your face with, pull your shirt up. Them stinging your abdomen area is a lot less bad and less deadly than them stinging your face.
So are we saying if you are at the point where you are being swarmed, right?
Yes.
Like you shouldn't be trying to just play whack-a-mole.
Don't do that.
Like, that's only gonna.
Don't do that, and don't think like putting your shirt over your face will defend you. They will sting their way through it eventually. It says specifically in this article that you are doing this to escape. This is a delaying tactic.
Okay.
You're just doing it and you're running in whatever direction you've chosen.
I feel like I want to fight, man.
You don't fight the bees. All caps.
It's like trying to fight a cloud. It's like not gonna work. Man.
Once you're away from the bees, take a second to evaluate the situation.
Yeah.
How many times have you been stung by these bees? They're not any more dangerous, but if you have more than 15 bee stings, you should probably get that checked out. So the first thing you do if you have less or whatever, or like you're waiting for aid to get there, you want to pull the stingers out because you're full of stingers.
Yeah.
You don't want to pinch and pull them out. That's not how you do it.
Okay.
See, this is valuable.
I would be dying.
This is valuable information.
This really is.
So what you want to do is you take like your nail or a credit card and you actually scrape and you pull them out by scraping them out.
Okay.
Because pulling them out, they're barbed. It won't work.
It's gonna hurt more.
Yeah. So you want to scrape them out with a credit card or a dull knife. If stung more than 15 times or have symptoms other than localized pain and swelling, you should seek immediate medical attention.
Dude, I get stung by like 2 or 3 bees. I might be
at the clinic.
I might be going to the hospital. I'm not gonna lie. Man, that would be terrible. I wish we had like a gnarly bee survivor here.
I know to tell us about his.
That was like I jumped in a pool. I waited 23 hours. I jumped out, got stung 37 times, made it to a car.
So here's some charts.
Let me see this.
We'll put them. That's the spread of African honeybees.
They're in America.
They are. Yeah.
I thought they were limited to Africa.
That's what the Animal Planet documentaries were about how they were gonna like attack us. The spread hasn't really gone as far as they thought it would, though. I think they've kind of reached their maximum. They might spread a little further north into like Utah and stuff, but they don't like the cold too much. So I'll send this.
It's like very southwestern America.
Like Texas, California actually has.
Texas to California and
Florida,
north,
of course, they fucked it up. Got
north
them there
up
somehow.
through like Nevada, low key.
Yeah, Texas has a bad time. It looks like honestly like all of. What's next to Texas? We don't know. We don't know geography.
Come on, man.
The place next to Texas, they're fucked. They're full of them.
They're full of Africanized honeybees. All right, well, this has been our episode on bees, yo. We spent a lot of time talking about bees. I think they're a hilarious animal.
They're hilarious.
I wish we could get one on a leash and interview it for y'all, but I don't think that's really in the budget. Or get a gnarly. Like, I wish we had an email so we could
I have one more bee fact.
Send us your bee survivor stories. Tell us about that time you got the hornet's nest off your grandfather's shed and got stung 38 times.
So last bee fact about a random bee in Africa. So there's the African honeybees and then there's the Cape bees. The Cape bees are like in the south of Africa. African honeybees are in the north of Africa.
So these
they
bees,
never knew each other.
These bees might not even make honey.
Yeah, they do make honey.
Okay, this is one of the 4.
One of the 4. One of the 4, the big 4.
Okay.
So the Cape bees and the African bees, they never met. until like in the 70s or some shit when bee people brought them together to like see what would happen or whatever. And they discovered these Cape bees can create a queen from an unfertilized egg, which normal bees can't do.
Okay.
So they can create a queen out of anything. So what happens when Cape bees find African honeybees is they will send all of the workers to attack the African honeybees. Most of them will die. Some of them will infiltrate. The ones that infiltrate will then begin releasing a pheromone
to make a queen.
to make all of the other bees think that they're the queen.
Oh,
So then they'll
this is like bee brainwashing now.
To the point where they'll start only feeding that, and then they will kill their own queen. And then African colony that has been infected with the Cape bees will no longer house an African honeybee queen any longer. They will only do the Cape bees. But the Cape bees don't actually care about the African honey whatever hive. So they're just freeloaders, and they will just like take all the food until the honey, like the hive is destroyed, and then they'll just go to find another hive.
Damn, it's like the...
So I needed to get that one out. So some layman might think, oh, why don't you bring the Cape bees here to take care of the African honeybees? Awful idea.
Yeah, true.
Because they'll just kill all the bees.
They're like the Thanos of the bee world.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah, damn. Bees are wild. All right, we'll be back. Another episode soon. Thank you guys for checking us out, as always. Yeah, we're talking about bees.
Save your bees.
I'm glad none of us really made a terrible bee pun throughout this whole thing.
Unbelievable.
We'll be back next week. It's all right. That's enough.